and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and it's time for the Gameweek 13 episode of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid, the video where we look at the transfer trends of the top FPL managers, as well as looking at some captaincy options as well. So guys, if you do enjoy this one, make sure you do drop a like, do subscribe if you are new around here. Let's get started. So first of all, a look at our 100 experts this week. Thank you so much to all of these people for helping us all out by submitting your data for what you are up to this week. Massive appreciation to all of these people. It would not be possible to run this series without all of the people who submit their data. So thank you so much. Let's see what they're up to. So, 61% of our expert FPL managers are making one transfer this week. 13% are making two transfers this week, going for the double transfer. I know a lot of people have transfers in the bank, so maybe using some of them. But a lot of people are rolling their second transfer as well. We have got one person making three transfers this week, taking that hit in order to do so. We've got one person using their wild card, which is not very much. 1%, super low really. In terms of 100 managers, only 1%. So not very much. So that probably suggests to us that this is not really a game week to be using your wild cards. If you do have a wild card, maybe you can save it unless you have some serious injury problems, as is the case with our one manager who is using their wild card this week. We have also got 28% not making 24%, sorry, making no transfers at all. So no transfers used by 24%. That's just under a quarter. So maybe it's going to be an opportunity to roll our transfers this week. I think some people who have multiple transfers, like I say, are rolling one of their transfers. So if you can take a second one into game week 14, I think that's probably going to be a decent idea. But in general, I think most of our managers here, 76%, are making at least one transfer. So that does suggest to us it's a transfer making week. So what kind of moves can we be making? Well, looking at the overall data to see what the world of FPL is doing, it seems like Bowen is a really popular transfer in at this point, which is interesting, as the rumours are that maybe Bowen doesn't have so much of a chance of playing in Game Week 13 after all. He has been flagged recently. We now think that he might have some kind of fluid problem in his ankle, I believe, or knee. Yeah, it's not ideal. And I think we need to really keep an eye on this one before you keep moving for Bowen at this point. Like, as I have been saying about Bowen, he would be a great player to have against Burnley. But let's get proper news about his injury first and whether he's going to be available or not. Because obviously a huge amount of people are jumping the gun very early on him. And early transfers this week just seem like a terrible, terrible idea. We have got 208,000 people going for Palmer in general as well. So quite a lot of transfers in for him. You can see why on penalties, performing pretty well in general. Saliba, very, very popular defender to go for. And after that, it's a bit more of a mixed bag. We've got Salah and Mbumo, Saka and Solanke making up the top 7 of the overall player-based transfers in. But is there any correlation between these popular transfers in the overall FPL player base and our experts? Well, yes, there is a little bit. Because we've got Palmer, Saliba, Mbumo, Saka, and Solanke all also being brought in by our experts. Palmer, you can definitely see why. Saliba, yes, he's just the best defender to go for right now. I'm sure we all agree. A couple of midfielders in Mbumo and Saka also being brought in, and Solanke is there as well. But there is actually one heavily transferred in player among our experts that is not on our list here at all. So there's one kind of, I guess, expert hype player that we're going to have a look at very, very shortly, that it seems like the overall player base has not really caught on to the fact that this is a great transfer yet. So we've got a mystery player coming up very soon. But in terms of the other players, some of these players are either being transferred out or not being transferred in at all by our experts. And they are Salah, Tsimikas, and Sterling. And I think there's good reason for each of them. Salah, for example, if you don't already have him, then you're probably not going to be bringing him in ahead of an away fixture against Man City, the most difficult fixture of the season. I'm not saying Salah is a bad player to bring into your FPL team, but if you don't already have him, is it the right time to get him? I'm not sure. You're probably not going to captain him either. We'll have a look at captain data a little bit later. We've got Tsimikas here. Obviously, no self-respecting top FPL manager will be bringing in Tsimikas unless maybe they're on a wild card, because you're not going to play him against Man City away. It's just not going to happen. Like, it's just like, it's like teed up to be like bad points, right? Man City are probably going to score against Liverpool. Let's be totally honest. And Tsimikas is not going to be getting those super hauls every single game week, but people do knee-jerk to those high points in previous game weeks. We've got Sterling in here as well. Again, Sterling, why would you bring him in when you can get Palmer, who is on penalties, putting up better numbers, looking better on the pitch, is more likely to retain his place in the Chelsea team, less likely to get rotated with the likes of Mudryk, for example, and he's more expensive than Palmer as well. So very, very little reason for me to go for Sterling if you haven't already got Palmer. Just go for Palmer instead. Like, he's better in every way and cheaper as well. So yeah, he's obviously a great pick. So those players are not being brought in by our experts. Let's move on and see what transfers they actually are making. So in terms of transfers out, a lot of this is down to injuries. There's not too many different players being transferred out, which means we do have strong trends among the few players that our experts are transferring out. So straight away, Kaldu Mitoma, it's very, very obvious that if he is going to be unavailable for Game Week 13, and it looks like he is going to be unavailable, then you probably remove him now, because this is kind of his last good fixture. After that, the fixtures do get a lot worse. So if he's unavailable for the good fixture, and then after that, the fixtures are worse, makes sense to just remove him now. So yeah, get rid of Mitoma if you have him, assuming that we do get confirmation that he is going to be injured. Bowen is up in the air right now, but a lot of our experts are planning to remove him, waiting for that last minute news about whether he's going to be available or not. But because the news looks negative right now, the plan should be to remove these kind of injured players. Cash is also being transferred out by quite a lot of people. He's had some disappointing results recently, and we do expect Tottenham Hotspur to score against Aston Villa this week, so you can understand why people might not be too keen on Cash. Diaby is an interesting one that I'm not really sure I agree with myself, but there are obviously some midfielders that people want to move to. Maybe Diaby is the natural player to move to a new midfielder. Madison's obviously injured, and Turner, this is a really interesting one. So a few people have the combination of Raya and Turner. Raya can't play against Brentford because it's his parent team, and they have Turner, who isn't really getting game time at the moment. So they actually have to make a goalkeeper transfer just in order to play a goalkeeper this week. Maybe that's poor planning. Maybe it's unexpected that Turner was going to be rotated out of the team so soon, but we'll leave it there. But basically, guys, it looks like remove those injured players. That's going to be our priority this week. Who are we going to replace them with? Let's find out. So, Brian Mbeumo is this week's hype player among our experts. Yes, 24 out of 75 bringing him in. When you add that to our experts who already have him as well, you know, we're going to see Mbeumo really, really high ownership among the top FPL managers. People bringing him in one game week early. I know Arsenal is not a great fixture, but Mbeumo is just a great player in general. So definitely a player that we can all recommend right now. Looks like a sensible player to bring in, not just for this game week, but for the fixtures in the future. Get that transfer done 1 week early. If you've got an injury in your team anyway, you may as well do that. We've got Eberechi Eze, who is our mystery player. Yes, no one's really bringing him in among the overall FPL player base, but our experts seem to really like him. He seems to be that expert hype kind of differential, I guess, that a lot of people are going for. You can see around YouTube and Twitter, a lot of the top FPL managers are going to take a punt on Eze with his set pieces, with his penalties, with his great fixtures over the next 3. It could be a really, really nice transfer to go for, so I like this pick a lot. After that, Saliba, he is pretty much the only defender people are going for. Other than Gabriel, it's Arsenal defender time. They're really the only defenders that our experts are bringing in this week are Arsenal defenders, and it mainly seems to be Saliba and Gabriel. A few people have asked me about Zinchenko. One manager among our experts is bringing in Zinchenko, but the kind of theory is that he's probably even more rotation risk than Gabriel, so maybe not such a great idea to go there. So if you want a defender, an Arsenal defender is going to be your solution most likely. Palmer's got some interest. Solanke is the only forward on our list here. A few people bringing in Bowen or have already brought in Bowen. Early transfers, they are a pain indeed. And also Saka is at the bottom of the list there as well. A few people are wanting to bring him in ahead of the Brentford game. So with that data, we can suggest some transfer moves immediately. So obviously, Mitoma and Bowen, if either of them are injured, you want to remove them from your FPL team, particularly if they're going to be out for multiple weeks in the case of Bowen. But Mitoma, if he's out just for 1 week, I would just transfer him out regardless. But the 3 big players to replace your Mitomas and your Bowens for are going to be Mbeumo, Eze, and Palmer, depending on who you can afford or what kind of future transfer moves you want to make. If you're making a double transfer, maybe you need to go for a cheaper transfer for your second transfer to kind of upgrade a player maybe. There's going to be different options there, and it's going to depend on what kind of budget you are willing to spend on your replacement. But you can actually save a decent amount of money, free up a bit of budget by downgrading Bowen to Mbeumo and spend it elsewhere in your team, maybe to upgrade a defender to Saliba, for example. That could work pretty well there. Or you go for Palmer just because he's a fantastic player, and you save loads of money by going for him as well. But Eze in the middle there. Depends on your budget. These three midfielders are the guys to go for. For other positions, there is, again, a case where Arsenal defender, Saliba, if you can afford him, Gabriel, if you can't afford him. That's pretty much the kind of the flow chart for this game week. If you need a new defender, if you can afford a Saliba, go for him. If you can't, go for Gabriel. If you can't afford either of these players, then honestly, guys, I'm lost. Defenders, it's just not a good place right now. There's no real appealing defenders outside of Arsenal, so just would not be looking to go there at all outside of these Arsenal guys, to be honest. Yeah, no trend suggesting that you should either. So I'm not totally surprised by this one. Don't really like defender transfers in general this week, and neither do our experts outside of those Arsenal guys. If you don't have an Arsenal defender, now might be the time to jump on one. Of course, we have got a forward transfer to bring in, and that's Solanke, but the forwards that were being transferred out by our experts were so diverse that there really isn't a trend. So what I really should say here is if you have a forward who is fairly cheap, who you don't really like in your FPL team right now, and you want to replace them, well, Solanke is your answer. So if you've got a Højlund in your team, an Nketiah, and Evan Ferguson, who's likely to be injured, one of those players like that, who you don't really like, you're not too keen on, move them to Solanke. That is going to be your cheap forward to go for. Very glad to have identified a cheap forward for you guys to go for in your FPL teams. Let's have a look at captaincy next. Well, we do have a standout captain this game week. Not actually that close. Erling Haaland, 53%. He's way out in front. Now, he's not super way out in front. There still is, I think, a little bit of an opportunity to go differential here, but outside of Haaland, it's pretty even. It's pretty split. There's one big captain, and that's going to be Haaland. And outside of that, it's anyone's game, really. So Haaland, 53%. If you don't know who's a captain this week, the safe bet is to just go for Erling Haaland. Second place, we have got Mo Salah at 17%, which I think slightly surprised me. I think I would prefer Son slightly this week, but obviously Salah has got the numbers there to prove that he is obviously the GOAT of FPL, and people will trust him even against Man City away, toughest fixture of the season. But certainly Erling Haaland is our main man. So yeah, Son after that, he's got a little bit of a better fixture against Aston Villa, who do concede a decent amount of goals. And after that, Bowen, yeah, a few people think Bowen's going to be fit and are planning on captaining him. We've got Eberechi Eze here at 4%. Nice playing the fixture a little bit there. You can tell that Haaland and Salah are playing against each other when you have all of these other crazy players coming out of the woodworks. And we've got Saka at 3% as well. Now, these numbers do not add up to 100% because we've got 4 1%ers. And I don't know what's happened over the international break. Maybe some brain cells have been lost. Maybe recent game weeks have just been so painful for some people that they are going super outside of the box. But let me tell you the 1%er captains among our expert this week, and bear with me, guys. So first of all, Ollie Watkins. I don't hate this one. Like, against Spurs, that could be worse. I can understand why some people would think about doing that. We've got Mbeumo against Arsenal. Yes, one person doing that. I don't know how I feel about that one, to be honest. We've got He-Chan against Fulham. At this point, we are getting super crazy. He-Chan for captain in Gameweek 13. I don't know, guys. Is he seriously going to outscore Erling Haaland? I don't know about that one. And finally, Archer of Sheffield United. Yeah. I think at this point, when you're captaining a 4.5 million forward, you may need to revisit your team. But crazier things have happened in FPL. Football is a crazy sport, and if you want to go a little bit different, then be my guest. But does it sound sensible? I don't know, but that's why they're 1%ers. That's why there's no trends behind any of those captain picks. So once again, guys, if you are stuck for a captain, you can't decide, Erling Haaland is your safe bet, but there are some other differential kind of captains that you can potentially go for this week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like. Really do appreciate all the support on our 100 Experts series this year. It's been really, really nice. Subscribe if you're new around here. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Football Hub. They're running a Black Friday 30-day free trial right now. So if you've always wanted to check out the Fantasy Football Hub tools and you want to just do it crazy for a month in one of the most intense months of FPL, then now's the time to do it. You can get that subscription for free using the link in the description. And of course, check out fanprints.uk for those fantasy football gifts and souvenirs. Link in the description for that one as well. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, don't forget to check out another video, and I will see you later, mates.